The praises of good wine have been sung by authors, leaders, poets, and common people for thousands of years.
I think wine has been in existence for over 2,000 years, and it really has a lot of attributes to it. First of all, the health benefits, which have been proven. The latest was the 1991 French paradox. Second of all, it's a great social beverage. It brings people together. And third, it's a great enhancement for foods.
As Managing Director for Shaw Ross International Importers, Bruce Hunter stresses the importance of taking the intimidation factor out of choosing a wine.
Today's winemaking technology is so advanced that it's very difficult for someone to make a bad bottle of wine. And for one to be intimidated that you don't know exactly which wine to take and which wine to purchase, that should be the last thing you consider. You should buy a wine based on your taste. Do you like wine that's fruity? Do you like a wine that's dry? Do you like a red wine? Do you like a white wine? Do you like a sparkling wine? Don't be afraid to experiment. There's no right or wrong. And wine and foods should balance each other's flavors, not mask each other's flavors. Red wines and white wines, the way you get the two different styles are the way that they're crushed and fermented. When you have a red cluster of grapes and you crush them, and a white cluster of grapes and you crush them, the juice is the same color, sort of a yellowish tinge to it. And the way you get the red color is you allow the skins of the grape to stay with the juice of the wine. And the juice pulls out the color from the skins, also pulls out tannin. In white wines, however, you do not allow the skins to stay with the juice. If you do, the wine takes on almost a little bit of a brownish tinge to it. So there's two separate ways of producing the wine. Wine labels contain a lot of information if you know where to look for them. First of all, you want to know the name of the producer, which is Marqués de Riscal. This happens to be a wine from Spain. You want to know where it's produced, and it'll tell you that also it's produced in the area of Rioja, where some of the best wines in Spain are produced. You want to know the vintage year, and the vintage year is 2002, and the alcoholic content. And the alcoholic content varies from 11.5% to 14.5%, but you'll find the alcohol on the front of the label also. Well, there's a great little exercise called the 5 S's of wine tasting. And what that is a way for you to taste wines and give you a little bit more of an in-depth knowledge of the wine you're drinking. Now, you don't do this with every glass of wine you drink, but you do it with every new wine you drink, so it helps you to understand the wine a little bit better. The first S is C, S-E-E. And very simply, it means to make sure that the wine looks appealing to the eye. In the case of a red wine, you want to make sure that the wine has no clouds in it. You want to make sure there's no cork dust in it, no sediment in it. The second S is swirl. Wine is a living thing. As it's aging in the bottle, it gives off sometimes some off odors. So when you uncork the wine, you swirl it. It's sort of like spring housekeeping. You open up your windows, air everything out, and just aerate the wine, so you swirl it. The third S, which is very important, is to smell. And what the smell of the wine gives you is two distinct fragrances. It gives you an aroma and a bouquet. Now, aroma is the distinctive smell of the grape that is used to produce the wine. In this case, it's a Pinot Noir. The fourth S, of course, which is the most pleasurable S, is sipping. And when you sip the wine, you do not take a little bit of a taste of it. You want about a half a mouthful, because on your tongue are many different taste buds. And these taste buds will pull out saltiness, acidity, sweetness. For you to taste all of the wine and to enjoy it, you allow it to linger on your palate. After you've sipped it, you've tasted it, you swallow, and that's the fifth S. And when you swallow the wine, you very gently exhale through your nose. And when you do, you'll find there's residual flavor which stays in the back of the throat. It could be lingering, which means it's there for a few seconds, or it could be a very short, clean finish. So it gives you a little bit of an outline of what this particular wine is all about. So again, to go back over it, it's C, to make sure that the wine looks appealing to the eye, to swirl it, to aerate it, to smell it, to get the aroma and the bouquet, to sip it to get the flavors, and to swallow it to get the finish of the wine. And I must say, this is a very nice wine.
Now that you know a little more about what you're drinking, let's look at proper storage.
So the proper way to store wine is in an area where the temperature doesn't fluctuate too much. Anywhere between 55, 65 degrees is fine. If it's 68 degrees, it's okay. You just want to maintain a constant temperature. You want to keep the wine in a place where it's dark, and especially don't have fluorescent light. Fluorescent light deteriorates wine faster than regular light. You want to keep it in an area that's free of vibration, free of direct light, and you maintain the wines on their side. That keeps the corks moist, which keeps a good seal on the wine, which will allow the wines to age longer at your home. Well, red wine should be served room temperature, but room temperature is not 100 degrees. Room temperature is cellar temperature, which is around 65 degrees. That's the perfect temperature for serving a bottle of red wine. White wine should be chilled to about 55 degrees. You don't want to get it too cold, otherwise you dull the flavor of the wine. So about 60 degrees, 55 degrees for red and for whites.
Whether your preference is red, white, or blush, it all comes down to personal taste, as Bruce explains.
The main thing about buying wine and taking the intimidation factor out of it is to get wine that you enjoy, whether it's a fruity wine, whether it's a dry wine, whether it's a red wine, whether it's a white wine. And when you go into a restaurant, I think that's one of the most intimidating factors. And you see these Bibles that come out. And you go, oh God, what do I order now? You have to sort of narrow it down. It's a process of elimination. First of all, get into a price range. First of all, white or red, what would you prefer? Then get into a price range. What's your price range? You know, the most expensive wine is not always the best. The least expensive wine is not always the best deal. Get to something in the middle that you know is affordable for you. Wine is not an intimidating beverage, and wine can be enjoyed by anyone at any time.